Hello everyone, welcome to Candid Convos with Anna. And we are not Anna, of course. I'm Nobu and
BK.
We are the Kumalos. First of all, I'd like to thank Anna so much for choosing us to be part of her marriage series. It was quite humbling and we felt honored when she asked us to be part of it, part of this project of hers. So please continue to support her and encourage her, by liking and subscribing and commenting and sharing and all those nice flowery things that people do on YouTube.
Yeah. So she gave us a couple of questions here that she wants us to answer as a couple, I guess, for people to learn from. So we're gonna jump straight to it.
Yeah. Okay. So we've already said who we are. BK and Nobu, the Kumalos, and we've been married for 8 months, going on 9. We got married on the 6th of October 2019. So yeah, we're still pretty new. Some would say we're still in the honeymoon phase, but oh well. How did we meet? I feel like we don't have a how we met story.
Yeah, we grew up in the same, we went to the same church and we grew up around the same spaces. So we kind of knew each other from really early in our lives, which is what makes it difficult to say how we met. But yeah, eventually we became friends and that was it. But we've known each other pretty much for a very long time.
Yeah, for a very long time. During that time, part of it, we're not even in each other's radars. Like, we knew each other as, at church, there's the youth, there's the ambassadors, the pathfinder. You just know, there's that guy who's in the youth.
Yeah, and she was really young.
Yeah, during at that time, we had back then when we were younger, we obviously had no business
hanging out
with each other, because he's 6 years older than me. So you can imagine when I was 13, he was 19. So obviously a 19-year-old would not be hanging out with a 13-year-old. But obviously, we actually started being friends, I think, just before I finished high school.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Somewhere there.
How did he propose? He proposed on a hot air balloon on the 12th of August 2018. It was an adventure that he booked for us, and we went on a Sunday morning, early in the morning, and obviously we're excited. We'd never been on a hot air balloon. It was one of those things that you see in the movies. I didn't even know that there were hot air balloons around. Yeah, it was in South Africa.
It was a cool adventure though.
Yeah, it was very nice. And yeah, during the ride at some point he asked for attention, and then I remember thinking, what is this guy doing? Because he's an introvert, so to me it was odd, why is he asking for everyone's attention? And then yeah, he said a whole lot of things after that. And obviously I said yes.
I don't even remember what I said.
I also don't. I only remember a small bit of it.
I remember I had a whole speech planned, and I was going to say this whole fancy, huge speech, but I guess the anxiety of the moment and everything just took that all away, and I don't know, I just said some short phrases and people were already clapping and making noises, so it kind of took away my spotlight.
and for me, I didn't really hear a lot because it's a hot air balloon, so it's you're in a basket sort of with how many other people, 7 or 9 other people, so it's a really small space and you're up in the air and all this is happening and you're feeling overwhelmed and people are saying, on the knee, other people are crying, because we were the only black people there. I think the rest were white people, and white people are generally very emotional and in touch with their feelings. I feel they're more in touch with their feelings than us, so a lot of them started, I think, okay fine, they're more expressive than us, they cry a lot. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So instead, some of them started crying.
The white church and the black church. Okay, go on.
No, we are just loud. Doesn't mean we're in touch with that on a church. Okay.
The people are more expressive at a black church than they are at a white church.
Yeah, but being expressive and being in touch in your feelings, especially romantic, sort of emotional feelings. Those are two.
Yeah, maybe you. So then maybe you can particularize and say romantic feelings. Our culture doesn't have a high emphasis on expressing romantic.
So yeah, the romantics on the hot air balloon already, crying and saying, "Wow!" So I really wasn't listening. But yeah, then I said yes, and that was it. And then in our culture, thing led to another. The lobola happened, and eventually got married on the 6th of October. Our expectations before marriage and whether they've been met. You go first.
Mine haven't been met. I'm still waiting, fam. No, I guess for me the thing is there wasn't a huge change between before getting married and being married, because the biggest change about it was that we now stayed in the same place. So it was like my friend is now my roommate, that type of thing. Otherwise, I think in terms of the way we relate, we still pretty much relate in the same way. It's nicer, of course, that we're around each other all of the time, and we've got independence. We're more in control of what we want to do and all of that. Otherwise, in terms of massive changes in the way we relate, I haven't felt anything massive.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like it's been more of like we were friends staying apart, and now we get to be with each other 24/7. Especially now with COVID, we are literally together 24/7, and it's been great. I think actually during this COVID time, our relationship has grown stronger, and we've had less fights and arguments.
Oh yeah, so I do have I did expect us to fight more, but we fight less than I expected.
Okay, so it's a sweet one. Yeah, I think especially now during COVID. Funny enough, now during COVID, I guess it's that realization that I'm going to be with this person for 24 hours, 7 days a week. So it's one of those where if you fight and you spoil the mood, you still have to look at that person the whole day. It's unlike if we are going about our business and I was still going to school and stuff, where I could get angry in the morning and then just leave and hope I'll cool down by the time I come back 8 hours later. But now it's like, if you're gonna be sulking and moody, you have to do it in front of that person, and it just gets tiring and stuff. And we really don't have much to fight about. Normally when we fight, I'm just in a bad mood, so it's not a tangible thing that I could say he has stopped doing this, so we don't fight less. My mood has just gotten better. I've grown. Remember, I'm still growing, guys. He's older than me, so he must allow me to grow.
I have no further comment.
Yeah, but all the other expectations that as a girl you have, that when I'm married, it's gonna be nice, cook what I want, we go out when we want, come back, go out and come in in as we please. All those nice things that you think about when you're a girl and you're like, I'll finally, be in total control of my life, and I make decisions, or we make decisions, but it's you're not accountable to parents anymore who can tell you no, don't do that. It's a partnership. So yeah, that's been fun. A lot of it has been a lot of those expectations I think have been made. And I think the other thing is, I don't know for you, but I didn't go into marriage with a lot of expectations in terms of how I expected you to behave, or the things I expected you to like doing or not doing, and then so I didn't really have much to be disappointed about, because I didn't go in with a long list of things that I expected in a husband. I just went in with after all, he's my friend. If he chose me, I chose him, and I think I know him well enough. So it is what it is. It's an uncharted territory for us. We've never been married before, so it's literally it is what it is. We're going to find out as we go along how this marriage thing works for us.
I think another thing is that we didn't have any shocking expectations that were met or unmet or anything like that, because when we were still dating, we communicated a lot. So we'd spoken about a ton of things, about about our expectations for marriage. So when we went in, it's not like we had uncommunicated expectations that were waiting to be met. Both of us had a very good picture of what the other expects marriage to be like. Yeah. So there's no surprises or I don't know. So because I think it that type of thing becomes a problem if there were things that you had as expectations but never communicated to your partner, and then when you get into marriage, you're expecting the thing to happen, but it doesn't happen. But and again, because we also do the Just Living Life podcast, it allowed us an opportunity to explore a number of different aspects about relationships in general. So by the time we got married, we had spoken about a lot of things, both on the podcast and other things that we'll be discussing outside of it, preparing for the podcast or other topics that didn't actually make it to podcast episodes.
Yeah, do you want to market that just living life thing a bit? Because you mentioned it in passing.
Maybe.
And what is it? What would you say are some of the challenges we faced as a couple and how we've dealt with them?
I'd say the biggest challenge that we faced is distance, right? Our entire relationship, okay, most of it, has been long distance. So, of course, the distance has been varied. At some point, I was in Zim, she was in South Africa. At some point, she was in the UK, I was in South Africa. At some point, we were both in South Africa, but in different cities. So things like that. A huge portion of our relationship has been long distance. And that's been a continuous thing that we've had to deal with in the relationship. And I think we've dealt with it pretty well.
Yeah, and I think I would say also, well, I wouldn't really call it a challenge, but it's sort of like a period of uncertainty. Like with me being based or moving to the UK, and that uncertainty that came with, okay, so how do we go about this? Is he going to get a visa? Is he going to be able to come or not? So it wasn't a challenge per se, because when it actually came to the execution, it really just like sorted itself out so fast. Like you got your visa in less than the time that it normally takes to get. Okay, so what role would you say our families have played in our marriage or in our relationship whilst we're still dating?
Whilst we're still dating, I can talk about the role our families played when we were preparing to get married.
I think I can talk about even before. Like, I wouldn't say they played a role in the relationship per se, but they made being in a relationship with each other easier. I think that, for example, like I said, like we grew up in the same church and stuff. So I didn't have a formal meet the parents or meet the mama Zala type of a thing where I didn't know this person and I had to pretend to be someone I'm not, just to make an impression and all that, because she was an auntie from church that I knew that, so she already knew me and loved me as her child from church, apart from being his girlfriend. So even when I became his girlfriend, there wasn't that pressure of saying, okay, I don't know, I wonder what his mother is like, will she like me or not, because the relationship had already been established independent of us being together. So I think that would somewhat count as.
I don't know if that's a role she played or.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Okay, cool.
And then also our sisters knew each other also, and we knew each other's sisters. So it's not a role.
We all knew each other because we run the same place as families, close in the same vicinity and all of that. So.
And our dads knew each other from the 80s before we were born also.
Yeah.
That probably counted better counted more during the preparing to get married stage.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's what is meant by
a role.
The role that they played. That was just who they are. They were not. It's not like they were contributing to our relationship directly.
But after we got married, obviously our parents pray for us, our parents support us, and check up on us and all that. So we always know that we've got home to go back to if life doesn't work out. Like if things in the diaspora don't work out, we know we've got home. But that's what parents do, I think, generally. Yeah. How do we spend time together and what do we enjoy doing? Pre-COVID and post-COVID. Or rather during COVID, but not yet post-COVID.
Or like what we enjoy doing as a couple.
How we spend our time together.
We eat together.
I think that's our number one favorite thing to do together. We are foodies.
Yeah, we like exploring nice food. Well, I like exploring new food, and she
I
takes
think-
along.
Yeah.
She's got her regiment. She's got her 3 restaurants that she buys from, and no other.
So I think all the time you try something new, it's been new. I'm that one who, if I once went to Nando's and I liked it, it would be Nando's till Jesus comes.
Yeah, but yeah, we eat together. We recently started watching movies together. So
You say it's recently though. It's not recently. We just didn't do it as often.
yeah,
but
well,
we
so I
did.
I guess I could say we recently started watching movies together as a routine.
Okay, so
Like pretty much every week we're going to watch a movie together. And I think another thing that I like is, so I dared her to watch The Lord of the Rings because she's never watched it. And what human being has not watched The
I
Lord
know
of the Rings?
17 years after the last one came out and I still not watched a single one of them.
Yeah, so we watched The Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, and she liked it. And yeah, so and she did express that she likes the fantasy genre. So I'm hoping we'll explore other.
Now we'll continue watching fantasies and no more chick flicks and real
But
life
you don't
stuff.
like chick flicks because I tried to look
No,
for
you-
movies that are chick flicks
you put
and you
okay.
didn't like
Okay,
them.
maybe I don't even know the names of genres. What are those type of movies that I like? Those ones about real life stories, like
Thrillers and dramas. I
Yeah.
don't like those. I don't-
but I also didn't like fantasies, but I gave it a shot.
Yeah, it's not like I've not watched drama. I've watched it. I know exactly what's involved, and I don't like it.
Okay, but
For
you
you,
watch it for my sake.
For you,
still.
you hadn't even tried it.
Okay, fine, but you watch my dramas for my sake.
Maybe.
You shall. And yeah, since and we like, before I get to that, we also back in the day when we were still in SA, I think, would you say we enjoy like road trips? I know we didn't do a lot of them, but the few that we did, like just going from point A to point B.
Yeah, we've had a few road trips together, and we really do enjoy those. We haven't gotten a chance to do many of them because we haven't stayed together so much. And the first time that we were together, we get locked down.
We can't go anywhere. We had plans. We had plans for the summer, or the UK summer, not the we had plans, but COVID. And recently we've started working on Saturdays. I think that's now the highlight of my week. On the weeks when I actually do it. But since we started, we've only missed 2, right? So we've had like, I don't know, we've been working on Saturday afternoons, on Sabbath afternoons.
Yeah, nothing special, nothing specific. Just choose a direction and walk.
Yeah, we literally step out of where we stay and you say which way we're going, left or right, forward to backward. You say let's go left, and we walk without even checking where we're going. We only actually check our maps and stuff when it's time to come back to say, okay, we're here now, how do we get back
How do I
home?
get back home?
Otherwise we just walk, and as we're walking we decide, should we take this turn or take that one? And we've discovered so many beautiful sceneries.
Something we wouldn't do in South Africa, because you can't just take a direction and walk and
You
decide
die.
to go back when it's time to go back.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I enjoy also is that we take these walks like around, we leave at just before 6 p.m. and we can usually come back just before 9 p.m. So you can imagine and we can do that here because it's summer right now and the sun literally says like 9:30. So outside it would be 7 p.m. and it would be looking like 4 p.m. and and you can walk as long as we want. And it's actually the longest I've walked. I think the longest we walked was close to 10 kilometers, and I've never done that in the past. So that's definitely one of the things that.
And it's not like it's an exercise, right? It's not like we're brisk walking or anything now. We're just strolling
Stroll,
wherever
talk,
wherever the wind takes us.
and I think we talk. We have most of our like deep talks during those walks. Planning for the future, what our goals and dreams are for us and our marriage in the future. It's refreshing because when you're sitting at home and you try to have those talks, it's tempting to grab your phone for a second and go on Instagram, and before you know it, you've lost the attention of the person you're talking to. But when you're out there, phones are in the pockets, literally just walking until, oh, let's go back home now because our feet are painful. Then that's when the phones come out. Oh yeah, and for taking pictures here and there. So that's really fun. Oh, I skipped quite a few questions. So, what would you say are the benefits or disadvantages of being away from home as a couple? And any cultural shock that we've experienced since moving here?
Well, for me, I wouldn't say there's been a cultural shock, right? And that's mostly attributed to the fact that we by and large keep to our own space. I haven't had the opportunity to interact with a lot of people, unless if by back home we mean also away from which would factor in South Africa. Then at least there I've had more interaction with people, but there isn't a huge culture shock because we're not too different. So there isn't a huge culture shock for me, but otherwise, being away from, this being the first world, there's huge differences back home in that things work here, things work the way you'd expect. The bus, the public transport system works properly. It'll keep to the times that they say it'll keep to. I don't know. There's good internet.
Yeah,
there's no power cuts.
All those general things that you find in the West world, where like their systems work. Of course, there are flaws here and there, but we haven't even experienced them. So basically, it works. It's the first world. It's called the first world.
Yeah, but there is a culture shock.
That people don't greet.
Yeah, here in London, people do not greet. Like it's strange. I've had a couple of instances where someone's making a delivery. It's an Amazon delivery or they're delivering food or whatever. And they get to the door, I open the door, they pass whatever package they have to me and just turn and go without saying a word. That's really strange because stuff like that doesn't happen back home, right? We are people who greet.
Yeah. But babe, don't you think it's also because I think you being you, I don't think you greet them either, and not because you're also. I think when you do greet, knowing your greeting is hello, and it might not even be audible now because usually these people are wearing a helmet or whatever. But because why I'm saying so is almost all the time I've had to get something from a delivery person. I'm like hello, they
because they're a lady.
That's the other thing. So maybe it's not a culture thing. Maybe it's just.
But it is because back home it doesn't matter whether it's a lady or it's a guy. And I'm still the same person, right?
Okay.
So even if that's a greeting I would give to the person, that low energy greeting that you're saying I'll give, is the very same greeting I would have given back home.
Yeah. Okay.
But I still notice that the people back home greet more than they do here.
Makes sense. What role has our spiritual life played in our marriage?
I guess the keeping us together, it really helps to have the same North Pole, right? To say when we're disagreed on a decision, we're at least leaning towards the same direction morally, and just that assurance that that assurance of the other person's morality, it's good to know. It's good to have that kind of assurance.
Yeah, and I think marriage can be difficult. I don't think we've faced a little tiny bit of the difficulties that marriage can present, right? But I feel like it's always better when you know that the person you're dealing with is also accountable to God for however they treat you, whatever decisions they have to make that affect your marriage. So you know that in as much as they're human and they're fallible and whatever, and they can choose to do A, B, C, or D. If they don't respect me, at least I know they respect God and they know what God says about A, B, C, and D. So if not for my sake, they're going to do the right thing because God says so. And hopefully, because they've listened to God, they'll find a way for them to respect me as well, because also God expects that from us. So it keeps us accountable even in times when we don't want to be accountable to each other. We still have to answer to God, and what would God do, what would God say about the decision I'm about to make. I think that's
because you know what they say, familiarity breeds contempt.
Yeah.
Right? It's easy to get so familiar to a person that you don't give them the sort of respect that you're supposed to give them, right? But as long as we have God as our focal point, you're always reminded to respect this person. But I think that's an important thing, at least for me, that it's our center, it's our North Pole.
Yeah. Okay, moving along. How have we both managed to support each other and grow in our careers?
Yeah, cool.
Oh, okay. So maybe just a brief background. I'm a lawyer. I studied in South Africa. I haven't started practicing yet. I studied in South Africa, and then I got a job offer this side in the UK. But I haven't started with that. Currently, I'm doing a course that's required before I start the job, which I'll be starting in September. But generally, a lawyer.
And I'm a civil engineer. Well, I'm a software developer, but I have a background in civil engineering.
Yeah.
I did work as a civil engineer for like 4-5 years.
I was actually shocked that he said he's a civil engineer first, because nowadays he likes to say I'm a software developer, and I'm like, no, you must also say you're a civil engineer. I guess I'm African like that. You know, civil engineering sounds so glamorous and all that. It's like, it's cool, like he's a civil engineer, I'm a lawyer, hey, park up this, right? Like, we're software developers. Some people don't even understand that. Some people think, oh, so you do computers. That's what some people,
make
think.
Websites.
So I think I'm exactly. So I think I'm getting more comfortable with you. I don't know if I'm getting more comfortable with you starting with software developer. I need to become more open-minded. But yeah. So I think for me, he has shown me the greatest support. I mean, we moved to the UK because of the path that my career was taking. I think in an African context, generally the view is that the woman follows the man's dream, or the woman is the one who's expected to sacrifice their goals and their dreams to further the achievements of the men in the house, and so it happens, but it's not as common for a man to leave and go elsewhere, because that's where the wife's career is taking them. It's the other way around. So for me, it's been very empowering, I think, to have him leave his life in South Africa behind and choose to further my dream, because he also had an opportunity earlier to go elsewhere. But when we looked at the fact that with law, it's not as transferable as other skills. With other skills you can move anywhere in the world and easily pick up the next job. But with law, like I said, I studied in South Africa, I got a job here, but because I didn't study here, I had to study again so that I can practice here. So if he got a job in Australia and we decided to go there, I would have to go through that again, study again in Australia so that I can practice again in Australia. So it was one of those where we weighed that, given that we're both career oriented people, which route would be easier for both of us, and moving to where a career had presented itself for me made more sense, because he could, like I said, his skills are transferable, so he could get a job anywhere in the world. And I think that's been really empowering to say I don't have to dump down my aspirations and my dreams just because I'm married, and the conventional thing to do is to go where your husband goes. But he chose to empower me and support me in the journey that I've chosen, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I guess for me, my view my view of these professional things is that I don't necessarily view it as her career and my career, right? But it's our professional life. So whatever decision we take for her affects me, and whatever decision we take for me affects her. So which is part of why deciding to say, okay, let's take the path that follows this particular opportunity that has come for her, was, to me, it didn't feel so much like I'm letting go of something in my own life, but it was two decisions for how our professional life can proceed. And so essentially I was taking a decision for myself as well. Okay. And that made it simpler for me, and that view makes it simple even now when she studies her law things and all of that stuff. I take a personal interest in trying to hear what are you studying, what is this about. It's not always to a very in-depth level, but I like to have that understanding, because for me it's our thing, and if there's a decision that needs to be made, I don't want to start understanding what she does at that point. I want to be able to have I want to be able to know, to have a blow by blow knowledge of her career development, because I feel like it's also my thing as well.
Do you want to talk a bit about the move from civil engineering to software development, just in brief? Did you feel, I don't know, was I supportive in that move? I don't know, or whatever you might have to say about it.
Yeah, I definitely think I wouldn't say that there was a huge push factor coming from your end, right? But again, I never felt any resistance from you, and I felt like you respected my my ability to make a good decision for myself enough to say, okay, if you think that's the right path you want to take and it makes you happy and you think you're going to make something out of it, then go ahead and I'll support you with it. So
yeah, and I think still on that career, what I think one of the I spoke about him moving from South Africa to here, and I did say that I'm still a student. I think one of the things that made it a bit easier is the decision for him to start working remotely. I think it's like things just, like I said, I would always have these bouts of anxiety about what the future was going to hold, and then this opportunity came up sometime last year, around September, for him to start working remotely. He eventually started in November, but this opportunity came up where the job was fully remote, so he could literally move to Mars if he wanted, and he just needed internet connection and he'll still be able to have a job. So even when he moved here, it's not like he had to leave his job and then we had to start scrounging for pennies, because now he needs to start from scratch. And even with COVID and stuff, they haven't been affected. Their business has moved smoothly, because it's always been fully remote, and computers don't sleep. If anything, I think the computer space might have actually had a boom a bit, because a lot of people suddenly had to work from home, so it meant that systems needed to be put in place to make that efficient. So I think that's one of the instances where God came through for us way ahead of time, where we presented this opportunity for him to work remote. So his moving to the UK was literally getting the visa, packing his bags and leaving, and not having to think about, okay, what about my job, what about expenses and income and all that. And I think God's been good to us. Yeah. Okay, so I think we've covered the questions that Anna had for us.
cool.
You wanna talk a bit about podcast?
Yeah, so we back in 2018 we decided to start this podcast, and for me it was an opportunity for us to have a project that we do together. Because I've always been a firm believer in that as a couple, if we've got something that we're actively working on together, that would help us to get closer to each other, to understand each other better. Because generally, under normal circumstances, normal interactions, you wouldn't get to know those parts about your partner that you discover when you're working on a project together, right? Because sometimes there'll be a deadline that you guys put and you want to reach that deadline, and there's pressure, and you get to experience how she works under pressure. Sometimes there's something she's supposed to research, or something I'm supposed to research, or we're researching a single thing and we come up with differing opinions, and we're forced to talk about those opinions and really dig deep into it. So that allowed us to have all of these varied conversations and allowed us to explore each other in our relationship in so many dynamic ways, and it was very helpful for us. So if you'd like to check out the podcast, and get a look at the type of things that we talk about. It's just living life, living without the G, with an apostrophe.
Yeah, just living with an apostrophe and no G.
So you can find it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, pretty much any podcasting platforms that you listen. Pretty much any place where you listen to podcasts.
Yeah. So yeah, we also do have a YouTube channel, but most of the work is on the podcast platforms. But again, even on YouTube, we are just living life with BK and Nobu. For the past couple of weeks, we've been doing more of like worship content where I sing and he does the recording stuff. But yeah, you can find other videos like that we did a couple of years back. One where you get to know us better, and I think the first few episodes of the podcast we actually also uploaded them on YouTube. Yeah, I think it's been a good chat.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for spending time with us.
Yeah, and thank you again, Anna, for choosing us to be part of this project that you're working on. And we pray that God blesses the work of your hands. And again, please do support and like and subscribe and all those nice things. And also go and like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for taking your time to listen to us.